Hi everyone, a very good day I dedicate to all of you. Yeah, how are you guys doing? By the way, I hope all is well. And by the way, Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back to our online lecture class for Principles of Sustainable Development course. We have come to week 12 of the semester. For today's lecture, we are going to look at the obstacles in sustainable development, mainly in politics, social, and also culture terms. Yeah. Alright, without wasting too much time of yours, let us start our lesson now. Alright class, let us start with the syllabus content first, or the topic outlines of what we are going to learn today. So obstacles in sustainable development, we will look through the politics, economy, social, culture, and also technology terms. Yeah. Okay, at the end of this topic, students should be able to understand the obstacles in sustainable development. The first one, of course, we will be looking at obstacles in sustainable development in terms of politics. Okay, so these points are all related to political obstacles. Yeah. Okay, first one, long-term outcomes. Addressing climate change requires political leaders to take action now for what are often long-term outcomes. Second point, the uncertainty of many aspects of climate makes assessing the political risk of actions and strategies to tackle unpredictable problems hard to establish. Number three, action on climate change requires a strong role for governments in intervening in public life and business operations. Challenge is for political leaders to convince their voters. Yeah? And then number four, complex negotiations. The political challenges of climate change also need for political leaders to work internationally in often complex negotiations. Yeah? And then political barriers, inadequate economic, social and environmental methods for policies, plans and projects are the major barrier in the implementation of sustainable development. Sustainable development is often not possible in war-torn countries, struggle as there are other priorities on hand. Corruption is also one of the obstacles that related to political term in sustainable development. Okay guys, if you can see here, political barriers or sustainable development obstacle in terms of politics can be seen as how the political leaders want to create policies that is related to sustainable development and the protection of the sustainable development itself. So, of course, it has to have the power, in order to do so, the legitimate authority in creating the policies. Besides that, besides the policy making, it is also have to be the actions or solution taken from the political leaders himself or herself. Yeah. Apart from that, if we can see here, the actions also, whether it involves negotiation or action from the political leaders, it must have been implemented internationally and also domestic. So it doesn't have to be only domestic part, yeah, but international part is also playing an important role here. What does an international part means? The political leader has to be responsible internationally as well. Internationally responsible means they have to be cooperating with other countries in order to solve the problems, just like involving in NGO, involving in private organization, maybe, in order to solve whatever problems that have occurred related to sustainable development. How about corruption? How can corruption contribute to the sustainable development obstacle? Okay, for example, yeah, corruption. Maybe government, yeah, has given some of money to maybe private sectors or an organization for a wastage of, for a management of wastage, yeah, of a factory, for example, okay. But because of corruption, they use the money for the wastage management for something else. So this will be the challenge for sustainable development, because the money is not used to manage the wastage. So this will be harmful for the environment. This is one of the example of how corruption can lead to the obstacle for sustainable development. Yeah. Okay, next one. Let's take a look at obstacles in sustainable development in terms of economy. Yeah. Okay, lack of financial resources to plan and carry out the sustainable development. Point number 2, focus. Economists observe that the dominating development model tends to focus on economic growth as precedence or priority rather than people's rights or welfare and environmental processes and limits. So when they keep on focusing on only the economic growth itself, they tend to avoid what is their responsibility towards the environmental processes and limits. So this can be harmful for our sustainable development as well, yeah. And then number 3, international income inequality, mainly due to lower economic growth and faster population growth in developing countries. And then number 4, worldwide toward environment, requires a shift in the worldwide from treating the environment as part of the economy to treating the economy as part of the environment. Strategically, this means the economy should be adapted to ensure environmental services are maintained. Yeah? And then next one, obstacles in sustainable development in terms of social. Population growth paired with unsustainable consumption and production patterns among the wealthy are the biggest social challenges to achieving sustainable development in the world. In the absence of the significant change in human behavior, sustainability will not be possible. Inadequate interaction between civil society and government. So less interaction between the civil society and government can be harmful for our sustainable development process as well. Yeah? Insufficient incentives to the private sector to pursue sustainable development. So when there is lacking or there are less incentives given to the private sector, they are demotivated to take care of the environment. So they keep on focusing on the development itself, and they want to be motivated with only the development itself without taking care of other things, because they don't have enough incentives or motivation to do so. Okay, so this is one of the obstacles as well. And then number 5, limited awareness about sustainable development among both politicians and civil society. So they don't have the awareness to do so, to take care of the environment, to take care of what they're supposed to do, so that to sustain the environment itself and so on. Yeah, mainly to take care of sustainable development process. So when there are limited awareness between the people, this can be harmful as well for our earth. Yeah, and it comes from social term. And then obstacles in sustainable development in terms of culture. So culture is the antecedent or the condition influencing the adoption of sustainability. According to Hofstede in 1980, there are 4 original culture dimensions, including individualism, masculinity or femininity, power distance, and uncertainty avoidance. Uncertainty avoidance, we're going to explain it in detail later on. Yeah, cultural values and cultural practices able to become obstacles in sustainable development. Future orientation, by emphasizing the long-term perspective, is relevant to the core notion of the sustainability concept. Okay, So GLOBE, or Global Leadership and Organizational Behavior Effectiveness Research, have already stated cultural practices dimensions on corporate sustainability practices. So there are two types of correlation. Yeah, the first one is positive correlation, and second one is negative correlation. Future orientation, gender egalitarianism, uncertainty avoidance, and also power distance are all the criteria under positive correlation. Meanwhile, for performance orientation, it is under negative correlation. Okay, why for future orientation? Gender egalitarianism, uncertainty avoidance, and power distance are under positive correlation. Meanwhile, performance orientation is under negative correlation. Okay, let's take a look, yeah, on why it is like that. The management is like that. Okay, before that, egalitarianism means equality. Yeah? It's a doctrine of equality. So here, gender egalitarianism means gender equality. Alright class, let's take a look at in detail explanation of each correlation under the cultural practices dimension mentioned by GLOBE. Okay, the first one, future-oriented cultures. Okay, future-oriented cultures are most likely to place a higher priority on long-term success, long-term strategic orientations, and flexible, adaptive managers. Meanwhile, for gender egalitarianism, it reflects society's beliefs about whether members' biological sex should determine the roles that they play in their homes, business, organizations, and communities. Femininity represents cooperation, modesty, caring for the weak, and quality of life. Meanwhile, masculinity, it represents competitiveness, achievements, heroism, assertiveness, and material rewards for success. Okay, point number 3, which is uncertainty avoidance. It deals with a society's tolerance for uncertainty and ambiguity. Countries having high uncertainty avoidance have very strict rules of belief and behavior, and they are intolerant for ideas or behavior otherwise. Countries having low uncertainty avoidance have more relaxed attitudes. Cultures higher in uncertainty avoidance tend to formalize their interactions with others, show stronger desire to establish rules that facilitate the prediction of behavior, and take moderate risk. So in terms of sustainable development challenges, it is good to have uncertainty avoidance. That is why it is under the positive correlation, yeah, because cultures higher in uncertainty avoidance tend to formalize their interaction with others, and they show stronger desire to establish rules. So rules in managing obstacles in sustainable development is one of them, yeah. Next one is the power distance culture. Okay, it reflects the extent to which a community accepts and endorses authority, power differences, and status privileges. Power distance indicates how society handles inequalities among people. Countries that have higher power distance accept the hierarchical order in which people are in different levels or places, and there is no further justification. Therefore, inequalities of power and wealth distribution are allowed in the society. On the other hand, countries having low power distance supported equality and demand justification for inequalities of power. In these societies, equality and opportunity for everyone is highly reinforced. Meanwhile, for performance orientation, it defines as the extent to which a community encourages and rewards innovation, high standards, and performance improvement. Cultures higher in performance orientation tend to reward performance, competitiveness, and materialism, believe that individuals are in control and have a sense of urgency. In these cultures, individual achievement tends to be rewarded and results are emphasized more than people. So people number 2, yeah. So performance is always the priority in performance orientation culture. So this is under negative correlation. And the next one, obstacles in sustainable development in terms of technology. It is widely acknowledged that many of the technologies necessary for supporting sustainable development are already available. The challenge is how to improve these technologies, how to accelerate cost reductions and achieve meaningful changes, how to integrate them along coherent, consistent development paths that respond to specific local and sectoral needs, how to provide incentives and mechanisms for rapid innovation, diffusions, and knowledge sharing, the governmental conflict between immediate profit and investment towards sustainable technologies. So, the conclusion, technology per se is not the main limiting factor. The most difficult obstacles to the implementation of sustainable development lie in the economic, social, and cultural domains. An example, the economic, social, and political challenges associated with changing land use patterns so that such large extensions of land can be allocated to the generation of solar energy attest to the magnitude of the obstacles that need to be overcome when scaling up renewable energy alternatives. This is according to United Nations 2011, page 55 to 56 by McKay in 2009. Yeah? Okay, so this is the end of topic 6. I hope that you guys are still doing well in everything. Please take care and stay safe, yeah?